I've got two little fragments of memory. One from maybe 30 seconds after. I couldn't see anything, so I think my eyes were clogged with dirt, but I remember I couldn't breathe and digging dirt out of my mouth. 10 minutes later, maybe on the stretcher, being taken to be picked up, but feeling like I was drifting out and dying, basically. Yeah, well, I'm Martin Pollock, and I grew up down here in Cornwall, most of the time in Mullion, a little fishing village. Did the usual sort of stuff growing up down here, playing football, and did cross country, athletics. I did mechanics at Camberwell College for like a year and a half, and then went on and, then went on and joined the army a few years later. Basically, all the sort of men in the family had been in the military before, and so from a very young age I was always intending on that. Initially I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but then needed glasses and couldn't do that, so in the end decided to go in the infantry instead, in the army, and that led on, which I did. I joined up once straight from school actually at 16, but was too young, and so I come out and did like 8 years of other jobs and seeing what I wanted to do in case it wasn't really military. But then, yeah, joined up at 24, and pretty much bang year later we were deploying to Afghanistan. Well, bit of a, I don't know, I suppose a rough one because I had a couple of injuries out there. Yeah, 6 weeks in I actually got shot in the leg and had like a couple of weeks rehab out there, and then went back and rejoined the unit. And then it was a month and a half after that, after getting back to the unit, that I then got blown up and lost a few limbs and come home that way. I've got two little fragments of memory. One from maybe 30 seconds after. I couldn't see anything, so I think my eyes were clogged with dirt, but I remember I couldn't breathe and digging dirt out of my mouth. And then the other one was 10 minutes later, maybe on the stretcher, being taken to be picked up, and feeling like I was drifting out and dying, basically. Apparently I was awake and talking the whole way back to the main hospital out there, but yeah, mine just blacked out. That's all I really remember. Don't remember the actual explosion or anything like that. So, but I was inside the doorway of a little room, and from one of the scars, I'm pretty sure I got slammed into the roof, so a bit of a bang on the head and all, so I wouldn't have, I don't really remember anything, so it's probably a good thing. Well, I don't know, it's hard to put in words really, but it's certainly knocked my confidence back a lot. And I remember kind of at the time, or a bit after while I was going through rehab, that I sort of felt like I'd been sort of reset back into like teenage years, you know, where you're just kind of developing and figuring yourself out and all. So it's, well, that's for me anyway, I was, knocked back a lot, you know, and then I've kind of felt like I've regrown. There's a lot of other guys will say like the day they got blown off, like their alive day. But to me, like the person who I was then, although I've still got the same kind of core qualities, I think, that person did die then. no, 2.5 years later that moment, my Alive Day moment come. So yeah, which was actually learning to surf. So yeah. Well, these days, life's got a bit different after my military service, and so now it's pretty much all my time I think about surfing and trying to train for that and doing all sorts of stuff around that. Here at home is Poldhu, because that's my local beach, like within a mile of my house, and it's pretty good wave too. With the prosthetics and even in the wheelchair and being on land, it's getting around's quite difficult. You're quite restricted and all. Movement's not easy. But when I get in the water, it's because you're floating and free. I can move pretty quick, And it's kind of like that same feeling again. And aside from obviously for me, only having half of the arm, I don't paddle as strong as others, but I'm equivalent to anyone else, still move the same way, but I'm way freer on the water than I am on land. So having that side of it is really helpful. Yeah.
Stillness of the night is here with all the riot of our fear. Try to reopen our scars, but nothing in this life is real, and time alone won't help to heal. Getting to the hardest part. Time is running out for us, and all our dreams will turn to dust. Never dream it'd be so hard. It's tearing me apart. Must be something that I can do. I'm through with chasing scars and howling at the moon. I'm done with being young. I'm waiting for life to start. We're not the only one who's got a fragile heart.
My first kind of experiences were as a kid. Did a little bit of bodyboarding with friends in the summer, but nothing major. Just my main thing was cliff jumping. But yeah, so it was 2.5 years after my injuries that I got to go on a trip with Help for Heroes out to California to Operation Surf, and then that week's where I got introduced and learned. When I learned, it was it was almost like the missing part of me, and so it's one, it's lifted the confidence of being able to do stuff, be able to do that, then having the focus of something to work on or work towards and trying to be better at is that having that focus really helps, partly to take your mind off these situations, but also to show you that you actually are capable of doing a whole lot, not because most people term this stuff as being disabled or whatever, but to me, which something I've realised through surfing, is that really there is no such thing as a disability, because everyone can do stuff, so really it's all different abilities. So it's kind of one of my things is wanting to dispel that word, and change it from disabled to differently able, because everyone can do something. That's one of the things that surfing's helped me realise. So that has been a big boost to the mental health side of it for me. It's not like having a drink and momentarily forgetting. It's way more than that.
Yeah, we're a charity. We work with young people primarily, although we sometimes work with adults as well. We take them surfing, and we do a lot of research into what the benefits of that are on young people and on young minds. And we try and apply the principles of that research to our projects. So, we look at the neuroscience behind surf therapy, as it's becoming known now. And we try to apply that in a positive way for young people. So we come up with projects that help them improve their well-being through surfing. Why surfing? I mean, that's a really interesting question, and actually there's a lot of research going into this now. We're part of an organisation called ISTO, which stands for the International Surf Therapy Organisation, which is a collective of different charities like us and not-for-profits, all looking at this kind of stuff. And there's tons of evidence coming out of different organisations. What's quite interesting is everyone's got different approaches. Some people do one-off surf sessions, some people do courses like us, other people do whole programmes that last sort of 6 months. We're all finding the same outcomes, that surfing in a supportive way, and that's important. I think it has to be, a supportive community behind the surfing. There's other organisations that work with people in conflict zones, for example, children facing extreme poverty. And there's something about going in the water, catching waves, being around other people doing that as well, that has this calming, harmonious effect on the mind.
I've seen some surfers talk about, namely Mark Ely, I've seen talk about it as how you've got that energy. It's the energy wave that's moving rather than the water. So, and the energy you don't change it or use it, it just gets converted. And also that energy that's coming through the wave's got to go somewhere, so some of it's got to be passing into you as well. So I think being in all around that, it just boosts life, I think. If we're talking PTSD with military side of things, I've noticed with surfing is you kind of have to have a similar sort of attitude in the water as you do doing our job, where you got to be positive in decision making and really bold in actually taking action on what you're doing. But where you're trying something and you achieve those things you're trying to do, it gives you that same boost. So not only you got that good feeling of being in the water and having fun, but it's a positive reinforcement of what you're doing. So when you've got those things going on, it takes away from the negative feelings that you've got going on because of PTSD.
My understanding of it is that there are neural pathways that seem to respond to that kind of environment. I think another way is it simultaneously builds resilience, and that's also important to well-being, because just like we want to have positive experiences, we also need to be able to overcome negative experiences. We all have them. No human life is short of negative experiences. So surfing does that, there's something about the process of falling off your board and having to get back again, paddling out into, heavy water, encountering the kind of what maybe kind of considered to be negative experiences in other ways. Being cold, being wet, being knocked about, being, punched around by the sea. Quite negative in some respects, but actually because you get that positive vibe at the end of it, it It's good for your resilience, it's good for the brain to learn that you can overcome negative experiences. I think it is being taken more seriously, that's the first thing to say. We're starting to see now social prescribing. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's where GPs can actually prescribe things like surfing. I know some medics don't like the term prescribe surfing, but essentially that's what it is. It's a kind of using it as a treatment for mild to moderate mental health conditions. They've already recommended exercise. I mean, there's a lot of evidence to show that exercise is very, very good for mental health. Just going for a run if you're feeling down releases all sorts of endorphins and makes you feel better, and it makes you feel fitter and better. So I think the reality is that with a huge organisation like the NHS, it just takes time for, and it's a very political organisation. Some people feel very strongly that one sort of treatment is the right way to go, others feel another. And the people at the very top have got to kind of straddle all of those different types of thinking. The truth of the matter is it's a slow-moving process. Having said that, I mean, the WAVE project is funded by the NHS in some areas to deliver treatment for, for people with both mild and severe mental health issues. Actually, we always welcome, people's input into this whole kind of space of, using sport as therapy and particularly surfing. So, we're always keen to hear from people who are interested in this space. So, do find us and get in touch with us.
Through medications and other things in the first part of my treatment, I went up to a way heavier weight than I'd ever been before, even with all my limbs. And I've been having a fight to get that back down, but surfing's been a big help for that. And not only from the physical side, but the drive to want to get better. I tried a few other things, but nothing helped me. Well, yeah, basically through surfing, and for my situation of how I ride being so different to other people, and needing assistance of the buoyancy boards, I need to look at different sort of designs for boards. And some of the jobs I'd had before and stuff I did growing up, I loved making things and creating, so that led me to give them a shout of coming in and making my own. Actually, that process it's like where it brings your focus onto that thing, that can distract from any mental issues you might have going on as well. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good therapy as well. Yeah. So, yeah, would definitely recommend it.
The sound was big and low to the ground. The cold, it froze my fingers tight. Time was still and I was lost from sight for a while. The call is new to turn me loose. From the start, you had my heart. feel the